Somewhat unusually, this case note is not based on an official case report, but is based upon an academic report. Mr. Cutting was a citizen of the USA who had been living from time to time in the city of El Paso in Texas, but also from time to time in the city of Paso del Norte in Mexico. Cutting was in a dispute with Emigdio Medina, and he placed an advertisement in a newspaper in El Paso defaming Senor Medina. When Mr. Cutting then returned to Mexico, he was arrested and thrown into jail for criminal libel. The United States sued for his release. The argument of the United States was that Mexico had no business arresting a citizen of the USA for conduct which had occurred within the USA and which was not against the law in the USA. The relevant law in El Paso was the law of the United States, not the law of Mexico. The argument of Mexico was based on a principle called the passive personality principle. This is a principle of international law by which countries claim the right to protect their own citizens from criminal conduct, even where that conduct occurs overseas. The principle is very controversial because it operates in opposition to the principle of sovereignty, that each sovereign nation is able to determine the law within its own boundaries. For much of the 20th century, the passive personality principle was in decline in international law, but in the early 21st century it had something of a resurgence as a result of American policies implemented in order to oppose terrorism. These policies were effectively that terrorist conduct against American citizens anywhere in the world was a crime under US law. The Cutting case did not come before a court or tribunal as such, but was undertaken by diplomatic correspondence between the two countries. During that correspondence, the American representative said, "No sovereign state can admit that its citizens are subject in their own country to the control of a foreign municipal law, and so must every sovereign state equally repudiate the correlative proposition that foreigners within its territory are protected by the municipal law of their own country or countries against the acts of citizens of such state. Such a doctrine would produce a confusion and conflict of jurisdictions." The passive personality principle remains extremely controversial and realistically cannot be relied upon.